the UK Guardian actually just came out with their story. They actually covered us. We were the biggest, probably, of the truth movements. There weren't a lot of them in New York anyway, but we were the biggest. And the UK Guardian actually covered us, and it was actually positive. We've got the story linked up to the front of whatreallyhappened.com, and it's such a surprise to finally have the mainstream media, treating the truth movement with a little bit of respect, and not just calling us a bunch of kooks and weirdos and wackos and so forth and so on. So we're here back in the studios of INN World Report. We had planned to have the audio portion of the symposium as a replay for tonight and tomorrow night. Due to technical circumstances beyond our control, that was not possible, so we're just here winging the show for tonight. Tomorrow, Claire and I are on our way back to Oahu, and so there'll be a replay there, but that's kind of what we're doing right now. Our phone lines are open. I actually don't have the phone number with me, but I'm sure our control room will type it to me, and I can read it to you on the air really quickly here. But the phone lines are open, so please feel free to call on in. As a matter of fact, I see them typing right now. And it's area code 877-342-6673. That's 877-342-6673. So call on with your questions, comments about 9/11. And it was an amazing time to get together. We had so many fans of the truth movement, so many fans of what really happened who came out. In fact, one of them gave me this T-shirt, which I'm wearing on the show tonight. It says WTC7. And as I mentioned earlier in the show, earlier in the week, or actually end of last week, walking around New York, nobody really seemed to get into this anniversary of 9/11. There's not a flood of T-shirts and coffee mugs and beer steins and keychains that I might have expected another time. And again, the general feeling among New Yorkers is they kind of want it to be in the past. They didn't want to bring it up again. They see it as just waving the flag and so forth and so on. So we did get a chance to finally go down to Ground Zero. We didn't go into the reflecting pool area. It was announced that it was supposed to be open to the public, but what they mean by open to the public is you pay a fee, you have to reserve in advance, and you have to go through this kind of indoctrination before they'll let you onto the site, which is kind of, we have the same thing over in Hawaii on Pearl Harbor. If you want to go out and see the Arizona, they make you sit through a movie first that reinforces the official legend and myth, and I really didn't feel like doing that. But we did take some pictures and wander around and get to sightsee a little bit. One of the pictures, of course, is up on the top of whatreallyhappened.com of me and the Wall Street Bull, and I'm already getting emails about that one. Speaking of emails, apparently somebody in our audience did in fact videotape part of my presentation. That is up on YouTube, and we're already getting a lot of people talking about that. And just in a nutshell, because I don't want to give away too much before the DVDs come out, but in a nutshell, the point I made on this presentation is it's been 10 years. And there are aspects of the 9/11 question that we're never going to agree on. And obviously, for long-time readers and listeners, that's the issue about plane versus no plane at the Pentagon. We're not going to agree on that. I'm not going to change my position. The no-planers are not going to change theirs, and that's fine. That's why we have a First Amendment to protect a diversity of opinion. But what we need to do 10 years on is we need to unite around those things that we do agree on, which is primarily that the U.S. government lied us into a war of conquest. And we need to take that next step and stop arguing over minutiae and decide what we're going to do about a government that lies to us. Because every day that we fight and quibble amongst ourselves, and every day that we fail to take action against the government that lied us into a war, more young American men and more young American women are going to die bloody and horrible, violent deaths on the oil fields flung across the face of the earth. And so that is really the next step. For the next 10 years, it's time to put down our differences and unite around our common shared understanding of how we get lied into wars. And rather than go into the nuts and bolts of 9/11, which some of our other speakers who were at the symposium, like Webster Tarpley and Barbara Honegger and Ray McGovern was there, I finally got to meet him face to face, and Wayne Madsen was there, and just a lot of people with a lot of information. But rather than just go over again why we know the story is fake, because that audience, they already know. That audience was definitely already convinced, or they wouldn't have been there. And so basically we just talked about what is our next step, and what good is it knowing that we were lied to if we are refusing to stand up and challenge the government on that. And I was talking to another interviewer earlier today, who asked me, how does the 9/11 truth movement and the anti-war movement, do they compete, do they collide? And the answer is they reinforce each other. Because the anti-war movement wants to have an end to the wars, and the 9/11 truth movement says the wars are illegitimate to begin with. And that just obviously is going to support this call to end the wars. It's one thing to end the wars when the government can say convincingly, well, we need them. There are enemies out there. We must fight them. You're cowards if you don't destroy the enemy. But when the whole foundation for the war is exposed for all to see as a lie, the government loses that ability. The people say, we want to end the war. And what's the government going to say? Well, we just want to keep on doing it. We know it's a lie, and we know it's all nonsense, but we're just going to do it because that's what gets us off here. We're going to go to the phones. Todd in California. Aloha, Todd. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?